Oh,
There.
like we're waiting on one. Who has the downstairs conference room? There we
That's
go.
us. That's us, Judge. Randy Roberts.
Now we're ready. Okay. All right. This is cause number 2023-146. Norris individual, his next friend Jacoby Norris versus Bagley Power Equipment LLC and Jason Spiller. This is on the prove up hearing, and this is being broadcast over YouTube in order to comply with the open courts doctrine. All parties are appearing via Zoom. And if you'll just make your announcements and who's with you and who you're representing so the court reporter can get all that down, please.
Your Honor, my name is Randy Roberts. I'm here on behalf of the plaintiffs. In attendance with me are my partners, Justin Roberts and Matt Milam. Also in attendance with me are two interns from our office, Ben Harrison and Josh Smith. In addition, I have in attendance Mr. Paya Mayo, who's an attorney in Houston that drafted the trust that will be presenting to the court today. And I also have in attendance Mr. James Creel with Capital First Trust Company, who will be the trustee if the court chooses to establish the trust.
All right, very good.
Your Honor, Miguel Bustillos with the Fletcher Farley firm in Austin, and we represent defendant Bagley's Power Equipment LLC.
All right.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jared Kent here, and I represent the defendant, Andrew Spiller.
All right.
Your Honor, James Holmes, I'm the guardian ad litem appointed for the interest of Jacoby Norris.
All right. All right, Mr.
Um,
Robert. Mr. Robert.
Hey, Your Honor.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss.
Oh, no, you're fine. Diana Henry on behalf of Germania Insurance.
All right, very good. Okay. That's kind of something. All right, Mr. Roberts, you may proceed.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to ask the two witnesses be sworn in. Ms. Lucretia Norris and Mr. Ricky Norris are seated beside me.
All right, if each of you please raise your right hand. Each of you do solemnly swear or promise or affirm the testimony you give in the case pending before the court speak the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right, and just make sure and speak loudly. And all right, you may proceed.
Your Honor, at this time, I will call to testify Ms. Lucretia Norris, who's seated to my right.
All right, you may proceed.
Would you please state your name for the record?
Lucretia Norris.
Ms. Norris, are you married?
Yes.
What is your husband's name?
Ricky Norris Sr.
Is Mr. Norris, Ricky Norris Sr., the gentleman seated to my left and across the table from you?
Yes.
Are you and Ricky Norris the parents of Jacoby Norris?
Yes.
How old is Jacoby Norris?
20 years old.
Is Jacoby currently in a rehabilitation facility in San Marcos, Texas?
Yes.
Is he at that facility receiving treatment for a traumatic brain injury?
Yes.
Is he to some degree incapacitated as a result of that traumatic brain injury?
Yes.
Did Jacoby sustain that traumatic brain injury in a motor vehicle crash on June 19 of 2023?
Yes.
Did that crash occur on State Highway 149 near your home in Gray County, Texas?
Yes.
Is it your understanding that that crash occurred when a pickup truck driven by Mr. Jason Andrew Spiller collided with his car.
Yes.
Now, as a result of that crash and Jacoby's traumatic brain injury, have you brought a lawsuit on behalf of Jacoby?
Yes.
And in that lawsuit, have you named as defendants Mr. Jason Andrew Spiller and his employer, Bagley's Power Equipment, that does business in Longview as Bagley's Tractor and Equipment?
Yes.
Have you alleged in that lawsuit that Mr. Spiller was working for Bagley's at the time of the crash?
Yes.
Have you entered into a tentative settlement on behalf of Jacoby with the defendants that we've named in this lawsuit?
Yes.
Do you understand that the purpose of this proceeding today is to ask the court for its approval of this settlement so that you can proceed forward with it?
Yes.
Is it your understanding that under the terms of this settlement, the total amount that has been or will be paid is $4,540,000?
Yes.
Do you understand that this consists of a payment that will take place shortly after this settlement is approved of $3,520,000 from the applicable insurance company?
Yes.
That's in addition to the $10,000 that they previously advanced to Jacoby.
Yes.
In addition, is it your understanding that as part of this sum, $1 million in cash will be paid by Bagley's Power Equipment directly into the settlement shortly after this settlement is approved?
Yes.
And that's in addition to the $10,000 they previously advanced towards taking care of Jacoby.
Yes.
So you understand that the total settlement is $4,540,000, but the new money that's being paid in will be $4,520,000.
Yes.
Now, if the court approves this settlement, do you understand that it will be distributed as I'm about to describe to you? First of all, the sum of $2,000,085 will be paid into a trust for Jacoby.
Yes.
Secondly, the sum of $100,000 will be paid to you, and a second $100,000 will be paid to your husband, Ricky Norris, to compensate you for your damages, specifically in the nature of the attendant care and services that you have been and will for the foreseeable future be providing your son.
Yes.
Do you also understand that out of this settlement, the sum of $720,080.23 will be paid to Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas to reimburse them for some of the medical care they've paid for?
Yes.
Do you understand that the attorney fees are slightly less than 1/3 or $1,451,778?
Yes.
Do you understand that my firm will also be reimbursed the amount of $97,104 for the legal expenses we've incurred in this case for things such as depositions, expert witnesses, and the like?
Yes.
Have you received an itemization of those expenses?
Yes.
Do you believe that those expenses were reasonable and necessary for the prosecution of your lawsuit?
Yes.
Do you also understand that out of this settlement amount, $24,029.61 will be allocated to pay for unpaid or pay off unpaid medical bills that Blue Cross did not cover for whatever reason?
Yes.
Do you also understand that out of this settlement, the sum of $26,807.31 will be paid to reimburse my firm for the special transportation needs and home modification needs that Jacoby has needed over the last year?
Yes.
Assuming that the court approves this settlement, are you asking that Jacoby's money be placed into a trust?
Yes.
Do you understand that this is referred to as a Section 142 trust?
Yes.
Did you have the gentleman who's here with us today, Mr. Payan Mayo, draft that trust?
Yes.
Has he explained the trust and how it works to your satisfaction?
Yes.
Did Mr. Mayo provide you with a list of trustees for you to consider for the trust?
Yes.
And from that list, did you select a Mr. James Creel to be the trustee?
Yes.
Have you also spoken with Mr. Creel, who's with us here today?
Yes.
Are you comfortable with Mr. Creel serving as the trustee?
Yes.
Do you understand that if the court approves this settlement and establishes trust and appoints Mr. Creel as the trustee, that Mr. James Creel will be the one in control of the money? It will not be you or Ricky Norris or me.
Yes.
And he will be the trustee until he resigns or the court removes him.
Yes.
And you're completely comfortable with that?
Yes.
Now, as part of this settlement, have you signed, subject to the court's approval, a release for the defendants?
Yes.
And on the second page of that release, did it spell out how all this money is distributed, just like I described it to you?
Yes.
And for the record, did you come in and sign that release last Friday on December 6th?
Yes.
Do you feel like you understand the terms of the release?
Yes.
Have I explained them to you to your satisfaction?
Yes.
Do you understand that if the court approves this settlement and we go forward with it, that you are waiving your son's right to have a jury decide this case?
Yes.
Do you understand that if a jury were to hear this case, that while they might award less to your son, they probably would award a whole lot more than this settlement?
Yes.
Do you understand that by entering into this settlement, you're waiving your son's right to try and collect more from the assets of Bagley Power Equipment than the $1 million they're contributing?
Yes.
Do you understand that if the court approves this settlement and it goes forward, that this is all the money that'll ever be paid to you or your husband or your son because of this tragic crash?
Yes.
Have I explained the terms of this settlement to your satisfaction?
Yes.
Do you feel like you understand?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with the legal services that I and my law firm have provided you?
Yes.
Do you believe that this settlement, as I described it, or you and I have described it to the court, is fair and reasonable under the circumstances for Jacoby?
Yes.
Do you believe this settlement, as we described it to the court, is in Jacoby's best interest?
Yes.
Do you want Judge Gossett to establish the trust we've described and to approve this settlement for Jacoby?
Yes.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Kent,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Henry,
No questions, Your Honor.
and Mr. Bustos.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir, just a few, Your Honor. Ms. Norris, can you see and hear me okay, ma'am?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Norris, we've met one time before, so maybe you'll still recognize my face and my voice. But you understand I'm the lawyer appointed by the court to review this settlement?
Yes.
And you and I did meet down at Jacoby's Rehabilitation Center, didn't we?
Yes.
And you and I were there, Mr. Norris was there, and Jacoby was there with us.
Yes.
And we visited at that time about the settlement, went over many of the same things Mr. Roberts has gone over with you this morning, didn't we?
Yes.
You understand the main reason I was there was to meet Jacoby and see him and his condition for myself.
Yes.
And I was able to communicate with him, but really only with your help, right?
Yes.
But through you, we were able to establish at least that Jacoby indicated to me that he understood that there was a lawsuit on file and that you were handling for him.
Yes.
And you're comfortable that he does understand that.
Yes.
And we were able to also establish that Jacoby was okay with you handling his business for him.
Yes.
And there was even a point where you had Jacoby communicate to me that he understood the amount of money that was going into the trust account, right?
Yes. Yes.
But that was really all I could really communicate with your son that day, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I want to say to you, I'm very, very sorry about the situation he is in. It is really strikingly tragic what your son has gone through. But you understand that, as Mr. Roberts has gone over with you, the money that's being paid in settlement will be all the money that's paid to Jacoby for his injuries in this accident.
Yes.
And you're asking the court to have that money professionally managed for Jacoby because of his condition.
Yes.
And you understand that Mr. Creel, that you've selected as the trustee, is going to be the person to do that for you.
Yes.
And he's going to continue to be the person to do that in accordance with the terms of the trust Mr. Mayo drew up for you, unless this court or another court changes that at some point in the future.
Yes.
So you and Mr. Norris are not going to have control over this money.
No, we're not.
You understand that?
Yes.
You understand it's not your money.
Yes.
And that's the way you want it. You want Mr. Creel to handle it for Jacoby.
Yes.
All right. You also understand that Mr. Creel will be paid for his service.
Yes.
And you've looked into that and you're comfortable that the fees the trustee will charge are reasonable for what he's going to do for Jacoby.
Yes.
All right. And all in all, Ms. Norris, you believe the way this thing's been put together by Mr. Roberts and his team is a fair and reasonable settlement, and all of this will be in the best interest of Jacoby.
Yes.
And you understand that's the whole point of this, is to make sure that this is in the best interest of Jacoby.
Yes.
And you're telling me, and you're telling this court that this is it. This is what's in his best interest.
Yes.
Ms. Norris, thank you again for your time. And again, I'm so sorry for your son's condition.
Thank you.
Your Honor, that's all I have.
Anything further of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
You may call your next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask Mr. Ricky Norris to testify.
You may do so.
Mr. Norris, would you please state your name for the record?
Ricky DeMond Norris.
And for the record, is your wife Lucretia Norris, who's seated to my right, but directly across the table from you?
Yes.
Are you the father of Jacoby Norris?
Yes.
Have you been able to hear my questions to Lucretia and her answers?
Yes.
Do you feel like you've understood my questions and her answers?
Yes.
Do you agree with the answers that she has given to my questions?
Yes.
Do you understand or feel that you understand the terms of this settlement as it's been described to the court?
Yes.
Do you understand how the money will be distributed as it's been described to the court?
Yes.
In fact, did you also sign the release that we've discussed by coming into the office on December 9 and signing it?
Yes.
And did that release on the second page spell out the distribution of all the funds just like we described them to the court?
Yes.
Do you believe that this settlement, as we've described it to the court, is fair and reasonable under the circumstances for Jacoby Norris?
Yes.
Do you believe it's in Jacoby's best interest for this settlement to be approved by the court?
Yes.
Do you want Judge Gossett to establish the trust and to approve the settlement?
Yes.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Henry,
No questions, Your Honor.
Bustos,
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Kent,
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Holmes.
Just briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Norris, you were there with me and Ms. Norris when I met with Jacoby.
Yes.
Did you have any questions that we weren't able to get answered for you about the settlement?
No, sir.
All right. And just like Ms. Norris said, you're comfortable that the settlement that Mr. Roberts has put together for you is fair and reasonable?
Yes.
And you believe that the way we have this thing set up is in the best interest of Jacoby?
Yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Anything further, Mr. Roberts?
No, Your Honor, I have no further witnesses to call. We would ask that the court sign the order establishing the trust that we submitted to the court on November 25th of this year, and that the court approve the settlement as described.
Mr. Holmes, I'll ask for the recommendation to add a line item.
Your Honor, my recommendation is the court approve the settlement. I've visited with the Norris family, with Jacoby. I'm satisfied that this case has been handled not just appropriately, but very well. And I think that the settlement that's been achieved is in some regards remarkable. It's tragically never going to be enough for what this young man's been through. But it is my recommendation we approve it as fair and reasonable and in the best interest of Jacoby Norris.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. And I echo Mr. Holmes's words. I know money can never repair the true losses that y'all have endured throughout this, but we do what we can in the court system. And I do commend the Roberts Law Firm for this settlement and what they've done, and actually for taking a reduction in fees in this matter also. That's very commendable, and this court recognizes that. All right, I find that the proposed settlement as set forth in the testimony here today is just, fair, and equitable, and in the best interest of Jacoby Norris. And the court has before it the 142 trust, and I will sign the order establishing the trust in this matter. I don't believe, I was looking, I don't think I have any further, at this time, any further documents in front of me, but I'll sign those when presented to the court. Have y'all reached an agreement as to the ad litem fees in this matter?
We have, Your Honor.
All right, very good. Okay. Anything further from any of the parties?
Not from the plaintiffs, Your Honor.
Not from defendant Bagley, Your Honor.
Nothing from my end, Your Honor.
Ms.
Nothing for Germania, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Thank y'all so much. And again, I appreciate all the parties in this matter and reaching this settlement, and wish y'all the best of luck. We'll stand in recess in these matters.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.